Hi guys, how are you? My name is Pavin and I'm Invisalign's top Invisalign full associate in the UK on a pro rata basis, and I'm also the CEO and founder of Alchemy, UK's #1 and fastest growing Invisalign growth mentors. So really excited to share with you series 2, and today is episode 1. How cool. We're going to be talking more about what we call the conversation phase. So if the treatment that we're advocating is a conversation, the question is, what's the diagnosis? The diagnosis is motivation gap. If the diagnosis is motivation gap, what are the signs or symptoms? I'm not sure this is all going to link together, but in essence, we have discussed that there's someone right now who is in the consideration stage, but they're not just going to jump into your chair. These are the signs and symptoms that we now notice. The diagnosis is they are not motivated right now to want to jump into your chair. So how do we solve what's called the motivation gap? The motivation gap is solved by having a conversation. That conversation we will now describe in the next episodes in a huge amount of detail. The reason why this is so important is when we audit the top providers who have transitioned and doubled their Invisalign from 2020 to 2021, they've all mastered this conversation. So I have one client right now who has 2 treatment coordinators who are dedicated to having these conversations. Simple question for you guys. If in your practice right now, you had 2 people dedicated to having conversations, and you knew for every 10 conversations, at least 7 people with a deposit would sit in your chair, how would that change your life? Interesting question, right? Because everybody always says to me, you are an associate in a mixed dental practice in a house in East London. I have no Instagram followers for my dentistry. So like, how on earth are you doing so much Invisalign when my Invisalign is 100% Invisalign? So I don't have regular patients who come to me. It's just through social media marketing. And the next question they ask is, how are you doing the numbers that you're doing? Because I'm a diamond tier 2 provider. And that's because we've solved the problem of how to have a conversation. Because what we need to do is to always go back to basics. That's why so many of my clients are loving our 4 C's. Because once someone is in the consideration phase, the most important metric for you to dominate and become the go-to practice is to get really good at having these conversations. To have the conversations, you need to understand psychology, science, buying patterns, but most importantly, who are the right people with the right skill sets to have the conversations. The shy, reclusive nurse or person on the desk is not the right person. At the practice that I work at right now, the person that has these conversations either on Zoom, through messaging, or on the phone, through Facebook Messenger, through a number of channels, the person who does that knows nothing about dentistry. A year ago, they were working for UPS and then some beauty salon. But what you can see in that example is having a dedicated person with a certain skill set that lends themselves to having conversations is an absolute game changer. Because let's be honest, if we wanted to increase the number of endodontic referrals to our dental practice, we would find someone who has a specialist interest in endodontics or happens to be an endodontist. The idea that you get a generalist in just doesn't really make sense. In the same way, if you recognize the most important part of the 4 C's is the conversation, can you now understand why you need to have a dedicated specialist who focuses purely and solely on this? It is literally a game changer. So thank you so much today for listening to this video. The goal of today was to say just really one thing. If you are looking right now to become the go-to Invisalign practice in your area, finding the right person to manage these conversations from the consideration phase is the #1 factor of your success. And that literally is why I today am Invisalign's top associate on a pro rata basis, because this is the one thing that we figured out, and I'm really excited to share this with you. Thanks a lot. Please share, please tag, and look forward to seeing you on Series 2, Episode 2. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.